So what happened over the break?
Got shit done.
Yeah.
I love that, Patty. I like when people speak American.
Yeah.
I had lunch and planned out my next action steps and did some research and relaxed and had an enjoyable meal.
You said you had a joint at the wheel?
No, an enjoyable meal.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes when I eat, I unconsciously eat because it's just like an activity, like get fuel. But like I sat down and I prepared lunch and was just in a space of being with lunch and having lunch and having that, just enjoying it as a more than just adding fuel, but like being grateful and consciously eating and appreciating every bite. So.
Nice.
You had a mindful lunch, huh?
Yes.
And I was dancing while I was eating mine, so the thought was I might choke on this food. But anyway.
Didn't choke.
No choking.
You booked the flight?
I booked my flight and my hotel. Our flight, our hotel.
All right.
So, and I confirmed the session. So, actually, all I need to do is rent a car now, and I'm good to go.
Woo. Where are you guys going?
Sedona.
Ah, great. And
That is a beautiful place.
What's that?
That is a beautiful place.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, hold on a second. Does Claudette say what you're saying?
What session is Patty having?
It's called Spirit Quest.
Uh-huh.
It's just a retreat center for spiritual intimacy.
That's great. Cool. And so you're going to stay there for 4 days?
2 days.
Great.
Nice, buddy.
Good job, Patty. Okay, this afternoon you'll be blessed by our day.
Oh, good.
He's going to do conditions.
Okay. Any thoughts from what we were talking about before lunch?
You know, I'm really struck by the conversation of the ref because Ade, do we do that in San Jose? Because I really haven't checked into that. I mean, I really haven't been present to that.
We have a conversation about life, being the ref, about what is the ref, who is the ref.
What is the ref? Yeah.
I do the thing about the aluminum can.
I do remember that, but I don't remember like really getting how deep a concept that is, that life doesn't care. Life, you know, like.
That's present. Life doesn't care. That's present. I don't think I've ever said that human beings are the ones that care.
Yeah. And you know, maybe you've done it. I recall maybe that this conversation is sort of part of pre-course, which is way before player opponent, right?
No, it's not part of pre-course.
It's not part of pre-course?
Conditions of winning part of pre-course.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, I just was struck by the depth of it. I mean, really, that's the, you know, when you consider that life doesn't care, it really means that everything's possible. Either for good or for ill, right?
Yeah, it doesn't have a judgment.
Right.
It's all you could say a learning, it's all moving you toward your purpose for being here.
Yeah.
You're gonna learn one way or the other who you are.
And one thing I realize is that there's, like in basketball, there are periods of time where you take a break, or there's, or what's it called, a timeout. In life, there isn't a timeout. You're always playing the game no matter what. You're winning at winning or winning at losing. There's never a time that you're not playing the game.
Yeah, there is time where you go on vacation and you don't, and you're not living by promises. You always coordinate in action. You're right. But let's take what's that lady's name? Bonnie this morning. She was trying to call a timeout. But in the game that she was playing called December Finish Your Project, the clock was ticking. But I think you may be right. There's never a timeout because you're always there. You're always there.
Well, since you said that, but I have it that my life, sometimes I'm looking for what's next, like what's the next ball coming over the net, and sometimes I'm not looking for the next ball coming over the net. I'm just enjoying my life. And then I see a ball that comes over the net, and I move into action. So there are times in my life when I'm not in a need for something or a want for something or even a desire for something. I'm at peace with just the way it is. And then I see something come over the fence, and I go, oh, that's my next assignment. Like that.
I have something to add on that. A timeout for me would be a coaching call. If I feel the action's going a certain way, I can call a timeout and go talk to my coach to gain perspective to change the play.
But that's still playing the game because you're still in the game trying to win
Yeah.
at win.
But I'm calling a timeout inside of the game that I'm going, hey, timeout, or to where I can intervene and affect the state of play.
Usually the coach calls the timeout, no?
Yes.
Well, the players have to call a timeout.
Directed by the coach.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, the coach will say you need to call a timeout, and then the player calls the timeout, and then that's when it happens.
Right.
Yeah.
I've seen some. I may have seen. What's his name? Plays for the Cleveland. LeBron.
Curry. Steph Curry.
Yeah.
LeBron look at his coach and indicate we need a timeout, and the coach will do that. Usually, though, it's the master player who knows it's time for a timeout, not the regular players. So, Dickie, it goes. I've seen. That's what I've seen.
Yeah, depending on your competency level, that players are just playing the game, and a coach can inform them to call the timeout. And then when they're at a higher degree of competency, they can feel it and go, no, we need to call a timeout. I'm going to call a timeout.
They don't call it until they get the coach's
consent. Yeah.
So much. So that's great. So that, Vicky, is that anywhere close to answering what you were querying about here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So speaking of queries, one of the first things we do in the work is to have a conversation about conditions of winning. And later on, we have a conversation about conditions of living together. the COW and the COLT, the cow and the coat, critical conversations that shift who is in charge, who has say-so. And what happens, what's the matter?
That's Bonnie.
No, it's only 4 people.
Bonnie's not here, and my phone just rang. That's what the noise was.
Okay.
Yeah, the conditions. Shift the conversations to who has the say-so. And it shifts the paradigm from who's in charge, who is setting the rules, because that's what people are most used to. Who's setting the rules for us to follow? And we have this conversation about what are rules about. So we attempt to make a distinction: conditions and rules. Rules people get to is other people make the rules, and what happens to the people who are given the rules is this playfulness to break the rules. Or you could say, people say, you know, you get a rule, what there is to do with it is to see how you can get around it, how you can break it and still stay in the game. You are familiar with this conversation. I think this is what we have. This is what happens in pre-course.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Dave, can you say it one more time?
This is what happens in pre-course.
I have a question. So shifting the perspective to where everybody gets that we're generating agreements, or that we're making a distinction that we're going to generate this versus having it put on us.
Yes.
There's something you said that I guess I get a little, what comes up for me is that we have some ground rules, and from my perspective, rules are there to have things work.
Mm-hmm.
So ground rules at the school, rules at this. I think you bring up something that looking at how we relate to rules, that we might relate to, oh, those rules, how can I break them, or how can I test them? I'm trying to, I haven't been part of pre-course for a while, so I don't know how that gets facilitated or the conversation lends itself to it.
Yeah, so the major question with conditions of winning is, how are we going to work together? What do we need? Ways to be together in order to get the maximum benefit out of the program, out of the course, out of being together. That's the major question. What are the ways to be together to get the most benefit out of this course? When that is said in pre-course, people begin, so I'm going to ask you. So here we are on this telephone conversation, in this video telephone conversation. And the question is, how do we need to be together in order to get the most value, benefit out of being together on this video conference call?
To listen.
Log in on time.
Start on time, yeah.
Uh-huh.
To
Participate. So,
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
What'd you say, Vicki?
Sorry, I said Jinx, you owe me a Coke, because we both said the same time.
Okay.
you said participate.
Right, we both said participate.
Okay. Oh, that's what you said. Yes.
One person talking at a time.
Yeah.
And definitely that's the buzzer. The confidentiality. of what we're discussing, of sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Giving room for each other to share.
Now I'm listing all of these. And what about technology, would you say?
Let Dickie manage it.
Have Dickie tutor us before we make it.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
It works for me to have Dickie manage it.
What technology? What I don't know.
Yeah. Yes. Now, these would be on the way to creating conditions. There is a distinction, though, about conditions that makes it usable. And that distinction is that they become
Visible.
Say that again.
I was gonna say visible, that they're observable by all.
Yeah, observable. Otherwise, how do we know it's happening? It's more in view of us having our judgment, assessment, whether it's going on or not. So there is a need for us to have it be observable so that everybody can see it. Otherwise, we can't call it. I like the way I like to say it, a video playback. Can we do a video playback of it to see what happened? Now, so when you speak of listening, can you see listening? Can you observe someone listening?
No, you can't.
You can't.
They can repeat. They can repeat something for you to make sure that they understood and that they are listening.
Okay, so then the observable is that you can listen to, you can hear someone repeat what was said and know that they were listening.
Yes.
And another observable thing is that no talking when somebody else is talking. That you would know I'm listening because I'm not talking. If I'm talking, I'm not listening. So if I'm not talking, that's an observable thing that could point to that I'm listening.
I almost buy it, Dickie, except I give deference to the female conversation, which looks a little different from a male conversation.
Okay.
In that, so you, Patty and Vicky, do you know what I'm talking about?
Most definitely. It's the chatter that goes on in our head. What do we need to do next? All of the other conversations, even though we may be looking like we're listening, but we might not be.
Okay, I think that's true for both males and females.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I was thinking of something else though that I've noticed in women's conversations, female conversation amongst females, that more than one person can be talking at the same time, and everybody is listening to what everybody is saying.
That's true.
So are you saying that we can be speaking and listening at the same time?
Yes.
Okay. So, okay.
So I've noticed that in female conversations, there can be talking over someone who's talking already. And yet it's not meant to offend or diminish what the person who was talking first is saying.
And for most women, it doesn't throw them off. Respectfully, I don't mean to be rude, but men, it throws them off when you have more than one person speaking.
Yes, that's what I also observed. So now that puts a whole nother twist on listening has to do with one person being quiet and one person and you know, everybody quiet and one person talking. So then you can't say that.
Yeah.
You can't really tell that if more than one person is talking, that no one is listening. The person who's talking over the person who started to talk first could be listening. It's not could be, is listening.
Mm-hmm.
So is listening off the table?
I don't know. Right now, we're clear that listening is when someone repeats what you said, they clearly had to listen to what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that is observable in terms of knowing someone is listening? What's your experience of that? How do you know when someone is listening?
When they can reiterate something that you said.
Well, that's just what you said. Repeat it. That's what reiterate means, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But okay, we got that one. That's on the table. Is there any other time you know someone is listening?
If they ask questions to understand further.
Yes, that works also.
Discovering.
Two things. If you ask a question to understand further what was said.
What if you said, what did you say?
Well, I don't know.
What are we talking about?
Right. It sounds like we are beginning to be interested in listening. But it has to do, I think if you point to what is said, when someone is speaking, the response to their speaking would have to be on the topic or not on the topic to know if someone is listening.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say?
Well, on topic.
Yeah. Yeah. So if the question or the comment is on the topic, then you could pretty much say the person is listening. And that can become observable. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're moving from listening. Listening is a what would you call that? It could be a way of being with people, but not necessarily a condition. Because a condition has the property of being observable. But I'm not throwing listening out like, no. I'm just attempting to make it observable. So we can all call it. We can have a video playback on it. So let's go to time. Someone mentioned being on time. Is being on time observable?
Yes.
What else is needed in order to assess that someone is on time?
Synchronized watches.
Okay, in a course room where young people don't have any watches, what's needed?
A clock. Or some kind of a, in our course we use the William Tell, right?
Right. Hold on a minute. Let me cut this off. Yeah. We need a room we need a clock in the room that everybody is aware of, and if people aren't, if we don't have a clock, then we have to have something that lets people know it's time. And then you got the music that comes on. It just came on, right? Dun, 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 dun. So you can see the value of the William Tell overture or whatever music we're going to put in the room so that people are supported to know what time it is.
Yep.
Then someone said participation. You can see that participation is like a way of being in the room. Is it observable? And if so, what would the observance, what would we be looking at to know someone is participating?
Asking questions, raising their hand,
Providing feedback, providing us answer.
following instructions, writing in a journal.
Looking at the front of the room.
Looking at the front of the room may not necessarily be that they're participating. Based on what you just said a few minutes ago, Vicki, about things going on in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So people could have something going on.
That's true.
Totally away from what they call it. Well, you can tell when somebody's daydreaming, but it's hard to tell when sometimes when somebody's looking right at you and you think they're listening and they are daydreaming.
Mm-hmm.
So again, the participation has to do with a response to the topic, opening a new topic, speaking, but some action that lets you know, like you said, following the instructions, which made you just to stand up and move to another seat, without any words, but some action that is coming, that follows an instruction or a conversation in response to the conversation. Okay, so now let's move. Often people say there must be respect in the room. Now, what is respect in the room?
One person speaking at one time.
Yes. And now, connect that to respect. When you think of respect, what are you thinking about when you think of the value of respect?
Maybe acknowledgement.
Okay.
Like one person speaking at a time sort of acknowledges the speaker, right?
Okay.
I mean, it could. I guess that's open to interpretation.
I think it's also not making fun of other people or comments.
Okay.
Slurring, laughing.
Yeah.
What's inappropriate laughing, right? Because we want to have fun too, right? Sometimes laughter is very appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah, laughing at people.
Yeah. So is that respect or disrespect?
Laughing at people?
Yeah.
Laughing at people, disrespect.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Well, unless they're telling a joke.
Yeah. So how do we? I was on respect.
Yeah.
What's the observable when it comes to respect?
And yeah, what's fun for me is that in being respectful, it's allowing, from a speaker's point of view, that when somebody's talking, not to judge or criticize or disrespect them by making fun of them or criticizing or judging what was being said. For me, it's having an appropriate response to when somebody's sharing.
Well, you can hear the word appropriate would be, that's a judgment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say what's appropriate?
Well, and that's where it gets fuzzy for me, is that a youth sometimes may stand up and just want to share and say a joke or make a comment, and everyone may laugh. That doesn't necessarily mean disrespect, but to say that there's no laughing, that
It's laughing at someone. Laughing is laughing, but laughing at someone is
is
what I'm talking about.
disrespectful.
Well, see, this is how come the conversation around conditions shows up, especially around that word respect.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to have a conversation about it so you can get to something that is observable.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And right now we're talking about all the stuff that you do not want to observe.
Right.
And that's not going to be a condition. We can't observe things that you don't do. So right.
Wait, Ade? Sorry, continue.
So far, what we have as respect is one mic, which is one person talking, everybody else is quiet. I didn't even say listening, I just said quiet. Because we just distinguished that the observable with listening is the response to the person speaking. So what I'm teasing out of the room is what's observable. If you say one mic, then that's one person speaking and everyone else is
Quiet.
Yeah. Now, whether they're listening or not, I don't know until someone speaks.
Ade?
Mm-hmm.
Why is, so when a knot is observable, right? I can observe when something is not happening by the fact that I'm not observing it.
I cannot observe something that's not happening.
But can't you observe its absence?
I can recognize its absence.
Okay. What's the difference?
I can't see it. How can I see a knot?
Okay.
With a knot, I mean, there are a whole bunch of things that could be going on that are not going on. So how can I call one of them?
What usually when you agree to a knot, you can recognize when it's absent and you can observe it when it's present.
Okay, that's what I just said.
Right. So what I'm saying is, so why can't it be a condition? So for example, like sometimes, and I think in Bright Futures we do this, for respect, maybe an agreement is no put downs. And you can't observe the not putting down, but you can observe the put down when it happens.
Okay, but
and what I'm hearing is that, but you could also flip it of saying that, well, instead of put downs, what could you do?
yes, you both, when the put down occurs, is that respect?
No.
Right, that's disrespect.
Right.
Yes. So we're saying a condition is something that you can see.
Okay.
And this is called a condition of winning. Not a condition of not winning, it's a condition of winning.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you understand that part. Okay, good. So there has to be some conversation around these values so that people can see the difference in their judgment about what's going on and what's actually going on. And respect is one of those values. And confidentiality. The condition of confidentiality. Usually teenagers, I don't know, some of them might say that, but they don't usually have that word. What would you say as a teenager that you want in a room? As a condition, what would you say, or as a value? What would make it give you the most benefit in order to speak in the room? What would be needed?
A safe space, I think.
Yeah. So now, yeah, safety becomes the key word, and we will get more into the conditions. Maybe I don't know if we're going to do that this time, but the domains of concern of teenagers, safety is high on the list.
Can I add something? Ask a question about that? Mm-hmm. So, confidentiality, how is that observable? Mm-hmm. How is it observable?
I heard your question.
Yeah.
Oh, and you said yeah.
Yeah, he was saying yeah to that he heard you.
Yeah.
So the question is that's what there is to be teased out. That confidentiality isn't observable. You got to look at what is the observable action that has to be present, which would be what you say here stays here.
But how do you observe that? I know, well, usually what we come to is Vegas rule, right? And I'm good with that, except now I'm like kind of going, wait a minute, how is that observable?
Well, it's kind of a way of, yeah. Well, you would know that if it wasn't there, so that if we were out of the space and somebody was saying something, you would say, well, that's not winning. That talking out of the space that we're in, sharing whatever I shared with somebody else, would not be winning because you would be not in line with conditions of winning. So talking to other people that are not here is what it would not be.
Yeah, I can see it. To me, it's sort of like respect. Like I can see it when it's not, I can see, it's like no put downs, I can see when put downs are happening, but I can't see no put downs. I can see when confidentiality is being broken, but I can't see.
But you can see no put downs because people are not putting anybody down.
Right. Same with confidentiality. I can see when people are, not talking about each other when they're in the room, but when they're out of the room, I can't. I can see it. I can see it outside of the room if they break it, but I can't really see it while they're doing it.
Well, if everybody knows the conditions of winning, then at that point, then everybody can see if people are not following conditions of winning or if they are.
Well, take it, rather than putting it on people seeing it, can that one person see it themselves?
Yes.
There's no appointed police. There's no appointed, there's no one policing this. Mm-hmm. What we're drawing attention to is this is the way we want to operate together. Mm-hmm. So I think we may be so, and we may be so used to someone catching us, catching us in the act of doing something that we didn't say we were going to, that we said we wouldn't do. And with the conditions of winning, the person who is speaking is the one who is responsible for themselves. So if we say what stays here, what is said here stays here.
Right.
That's what we're saying.
Right.
Who's to say?
So the person holds himself accountable to the conditions of winning.
That's accurate. And they hold themselves accountable to the community. So at the end of the conditions of winning, we say, who can we count on you to keep these conditions of winning? Now, before we go there, that's the end result. And people sign it, people stand up and they say it, they shake hands with each other, and sometimes they go up and put their initials on the conditions of winning to say, you can count on me for this.
Mm-hmm.
But whether or not they are keeping these conditions is totally up to them. Particularly this one about what stays here, what's said here stays here. They may come up with other things that they may come up with other values that have to be flushed out in terms of observables. There's no set. The criteria is that it's observable.
How about no cell phones?
I think that is handled at the top when we what to bring, what not to bring list.
Right.
They're not to bring cell phones.
No, well, I guess I'm thinking, yeah, of course that's for the course, but I'm thinking like back in the program when we do this.
You're saying at a community meeting?
Yeah, like just how we're going to operate in the community. I mean, that might be something that someone brings up, and then I also would say, I mean, I could certainly observe someone having a cell phone, right? But I can't observe them not having a phone. I mean,
Okay.
I can observe them not having a phone, but I'm just still hung up on the not observing a not, that I can't observe a not.
Okay. Okay. Right now, Patty, we are creating conditions for being on this video conference call.
Okay.
Okay. Give me a not that you can observe on this video conference call.
We're not sleeping during the call.
Okay, great. Give me another one.
We're not answering our email.
Great. Give me another one.
We're not eating during the call.
Great. Give me another one.
We're not saying negative shit about each other.
Okay, now, Patty, in this moment right now, which one is going on? Which one is going on? Of the knots, which one is going on? Which one do you observe right now?
I think I observed that they're all not happening.
That's the point. Anytime you say something not, is there a moment when you can say that it didn't happen? Or is it always not happening? as long as you don't observe it.
Well, I don't know. If Dickie pulled out a Big Mac right now, I could observe that.
Yeah, but he did it.
What do you mean?
He had to pull it out. What thing? Wait a minute. If he pulled out his cell phone, all right,
Yeah.
then it went from a not to him actually doing it.
Right.
He didn't do. Are you observing us right now, not pulling out our cell phones?
As far as I can tell, yes. I'm definitely observing no one is on the phone right now.
Okay.
The four of you that I can see.
At the same time, are you observing us not answering our emails?
It appears that no one is answering their emails. Yes.
At the same time, are you observing that we're not eating?
You're not eating. I observe that you're not eating.
Right. Can you see that in that one moment, the observation of the knots is all the knots are not happening.
Right.
So are you really observing that? Are you recognizing that that's not happening?
So I'm recognizing that that's not happening. I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to be a contrarian here. I'm just trying to understand, like, for me, confidentiality is like a knot. And I get how important it is, but it's like, we're not going to say anything outside of this room. That's what we're agreeing to.
No, we didn't say that. We said what's said here stays here.
Right, but how do I observe that until someone breaks it?
Here's the difference. That's different than saying I'm not going to say anything outside the room.
Okay.
I said what's said here stays here.
Okay. So I'm just holding it like a knot.
Right.
I don't know. I guess I'm having a hard time differentiating between observing and recognizing. I mean, because to me, like, for example, like, okay, we handle the cell phone thing, but like, and I guess I'm looking at conditions of winning as a broader application. I mean, I could see how a group could say, let's all agree not to use our cell phones when we're together, right? Like, that seems like a legitimate condition.
But it's not a condition of winning. That's an agreement.
I thought that's what conditions of winning was, agreements.
Conditions of winning are observable actions that requires consensus. If anyone disagrees with the condition that's being proposed, with the proposed condition, it doesn't go up there until there's consensus. And if there can't be a consensus, it doesn't get put in.
Okay, so for example, we could agree that we're all going to keep our cell phones stored away. And that would be an observable action that required a consensus.
Yes. Well, we're dealing with the course room right now, and you could say that the course room is the entire camp.
Mm-hmm.
Camp at all times.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we're just dealing with being in the course room. So
Mm-hmm.
what in the course room, what's needed for us all to get the most benefit out of being here together?
So, Ade, I just want to make sure I'm really not intending to be a contrarian. I just really want to understand this, because if I don't get it and I'm trying to generate it, my lack of clarity around it is going to subvert the conversation.
I understand. So keep
Okay.
going.
Okay.
So can I jump in? Conditions of winning to me is like a basketball team. And in order for us to win, we play together. And so for us to win, we need to practice. We need to shoot hoops. We need to all stay within our positions. So that is all observable, and it's happening on the court together. However, you cannot observe a knot because a person is not participating. That will not help you to get to where you want to be. So the conditions of winning is we all agree to do this together.
Well,
That's the consensus piece.
Right.
What, Patty, I want you to know that I'm getting something out of this conversation, so I don't want you to stop, because I think there is something that's there, because I'm trying to think as a facilitator that in order to have everything work, or to, like you said, cell phones, the cell phones is kind of done at pre-course, but even in a community room, yeah, well, let's just stay with that you're saying that confidentiality, what says here stays here. I'm not clear on how that's observable. That I go, when you say something, it's here, but we don't know that it stays here until we've left. That there's just a way of being or an understanding that that's the case. Do you follow what I'm saying? How would I know that what you're saying here is staying here? I don't know, even on this call. How do I know that Vicky's not going to talk to somebody about that?
Yes, you do.
Well, so what's so say more about that, because I'm like, what's the observable thing that I would?
What would be the observable thing to let you know that condition is being kept?
Oh, that if she agrees to it. No. Yeah, no, that would have me feel better. But man, let me think. If you guys got something, go ahead.
Okay, when you're outside of the course room,
mm-hmm.
and people are talking about the course, what will have you know that that person is keeping the condition of what's said here stays here? Okay.
Yeah.
You're talking about the course. What is the crux of the confidentiality? How do you?
you're sharing from your own experience.
Okay, you're sharing from your own experience. Great. What else? When you're sharing from your own experience, whose name do you use?
Me, mine.
And for confidentiality, whose names do you not use?
Anybody else?
Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
So the observable is that when speaking, use I statements, me statements, and if we were to talk about this, not using anybody else's name.
Well, I wouldn't say not.
Okay. You're saying that only use your name when you're talking about your experience.
Your name and your experience.
So using I statements.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like how people are practicing using I statements in the course room.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a regular thing people do. They talk about you and
Yeah.
them. That's just the way people talk.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never gotten that detail with people because they don't have that practice. To put that on, I don't know how in the world they would agree to it. Be a consensus on it.
So we, in the course room, we don't have food.
Okay.
how does that, is that a ground rule, or is that, because that's a not, right? No food?
I've never seen that on a condition of winning in the course room. Just because the meals are set already scheduled.
Right, but
So
like if a kid took something like a apple or something off of the meal plate and brought it in the course room and started eating it, I don't think, in my experience, a participation manager or something would call that kid out and say, hand it over, you know?
Yeah, so I want to put something in here. So, Patty, right now, let's say we're talking about eating. What comes to my mind, if we said, hey, let's have an agreement that we're not going to eat on the call, what comes up for me is going, well, what if I need to eat because I'm on a meal plan and that's what's going to have me win and be present here? I'd want flexibility to go, hey, I might need.
But then you wouldn't agree to it.
Correct, which then it wouldn't be a condition that would consensus. And I'd say, look, I don't agree to that. Look, I need flexibility to manage my eating plan, whether it be
right.
or whatever, to be on this call.
But what if we all agree?
Then when it came up, somebody would say something.
But I'm just saying.
But that it's a not.
Couldn't that be an agreement? If we all agree to it, couldn't that be a condition if we all agree to it?
What?
That we're not going to eat while we're on the call with each other.
No food on the call.
It wouldn't be a not. It would be no food on the call.
Isn't that a not?
No. It's not a not.
I'm so confused. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so confused.
So that's what Patty's saying is that having no food is an observable.
It's observable by itself. I can recognize when there's no food, but I can't observe no food, right? It's just the same as no cell phones or no put downs to me.
Okay.
And again, I'm not trying to be a contrarian. I just don't get it. I'm just trying to really acknowledge I don't get it. And I really see how I need to get it if I'm going to actually hold this conversation.
Yes. So have the conversation, Patty, right now with us about the conditions of winning for this call.
Well, I don't even feel prepared to do that today because, like, because I don't understand the difference between observable and recognizable. Because when I have led this conversation with mentors and they say things like no cell phones, no put downs, I'm like, great, we can observe that. And I keep going. So I don't, and then we all agree. If someone says, no, what if I have to take an emergency call? And then they don't agree to no cell phones, and then we take it off or whatever, right? But I don't understand. I need to understand really the distinction between recognizing and observing.
Okay, I think the two things happening. One is conversation with teenagers in the course room is different from, let's say, a mentor meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, much different.
Okay.
The responsibility is much different.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in mentor meetings where people have their cell phones and they have to be on call because of the jobs they have.
Right.
That's just the way it is. And
I get it.
And so there's nothing about cell phones, and they just say, if I get a call from my job, I have to take it because I'm on call, like a doctor, like a nurse, like whatever.
Fireman.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Now, with teenagers, first of all, in the course room, we've already set up that one of the things not to bring is a cell phone. And if you do bring it, it will be confiscated on the luggage search.
Sure.
And you'll get it back afterwards.
Right.
Okay, so let's keep it clear right now. Right now, we're dealing with conditions of winning in the court. We're also aware that there is, let's go back to food. We are clear that there are 3 times that people eat, and those breakfast, lunch, and dinner is set aside.
Mm-hmm.
People eat and they clean up and everything is a done deal with the food. I don't even know if taking food out of the dining room is something that happens. I'd have to look at the dining room rules to see what they say about that. Mm-hmm. Right now, as far as I can see, the eating in the course room, that's not something we do. It's distracting. It can be a distraction. So we eliminate it. We don't even bring it up.
Right.
But if it's to come up, and we're looking at forwarding that everybody is getting the maximum benefit from being in that room, being in the course room.
Yep.
I'm holding food right now as a distraction. Okay, that people are eating, we don't have candy, we confiscate that, all of that, right?
100% agree with you.
Let's say that someone needs something to eat, okay?
Uh-huh.
And since it's not up there on the board, no food or no eating. Someone needs something to eat. Participation manager is monitoring that. And is the person that says yes or no to that.
Yeah.
It's the young person that says yes or no to it. It's the participation manager who says yes or no to it. Because it could be a distraction or it could be needed. It's up to the participation.
Yes. Yes.
Is that?
So where I'm stuck is not on like cell phones or food. It's the agreement to the absence of something.
So you got to break it down. Tell me what thing.
Okay, so for example, when we've done conditions of winning in our community, no put downs has been allowed as a sort of stand-in for respect. But in this conversation, I'm hearing that you can't see a knot. But there's
you do not observe. I can't even say, is a knot observable? If a knot is, every knot is you can recognize it's not in the space. It hasn't occurred. But because it hasn't occurred, it's not observable. You only observe what has occurred.
Right, and so Ade, I guess why I was using cell phones as an example is that to me, and this, I get that this doesn't apply. I get that it doesn't apply in the course room. I'm only saying I can observe that people don't have their cell phones out.
No, you can recognize that people don't have their cell phones out.
Okay.
You cannot observe what hasn't occurred.
Okay.
If it hasn't occurred, it's not observable. I'll ask you, if it hasn't occurred, is it observable? I ask you again, if it has not occurred, is it observable?
Right. I can only observe the occurrence of it. That's yes.
Great. Can you recognize though that it didn't occur?
I can recognize that it didn't occur.
Okay.
But if I'm standing there with a bunch of smart teenagers who I don't know how to distinguish observable from recognizable.
Did it occur?
Meaning, did it happen?
Yes.
No, it didn't happen.
If it didn't happen, was it observable?
No.
Okay. Can you recognize that it didn't happen?
I can recognize that it didn't happen, yes.
Yeah. Do you see the difference?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
And Patty, the thing I was pointing to is that if it didn't occur, depending on what the topic is, the focus is at the moment, you could say anything or everything that didn't occur. You can name anything that didn't occur, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's only because you focused on one area of looking at something that you can say, oh, that didn't occur. Because let's say you were thinking about making phone calls, and you can say, oh, no cell phones are in the room. That's because you're thinking about cell phones. But suppose you're thinking about food and nobody was eating. You say, oh, there's no food in the room. At any moment, there's something not present all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm getting from what you're saying, Ade, is that in looking there, when you start to recognize things, it can just be endless. No guns, no cars, like your brain will go into this whole what else is not, and you don't want to necessarily stay there. You're trying to want to keep looking at what's going to move forward for us winning.
Yes.
So Patty, I have a question that if you could practice with me now. So if I'm a teenager and I say respect, condition of winning, respect.
Mm-hmm.
Play that out with me, how you would, because you said it lead to no put down. So how would that look with you?
So how is respect, so is respect observable?
No.
So is there an action around respect that is observable?
Well, if nobody punches me, I mean, that's a sign of respect, is if nobody beats me up.
So if that doesn't happen, can you observe it?
If it doesn't happen, can I observe it? No, but I mean, I want to feel safe. So I want an agreement from everybody that nobody's going to hit me.
Sure.
Or I could say, I don't want anybody, when I share, look, if I'm raising my hand and I share something, I don't want everybody to laugh at me. How do you get?
I don't want anyone to laugh at you either, Dickie.
Yeah, no, I understand. So how do you get to know put downs? I'm just saying that you said you had some experience with that. I'm just trying to see how that.
I mean, I guess I would say, well, can we agree not to hit each other? That's would be probably my inclination.
Okay, so no hitting.
But now I get it. Okay, that we can't say a not. But so.
That's not in the game though, because at the departure we have a conversation.
Correct, about safety. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't show.
Okay.
But let's say no put downs. Let's say
so if I'm working that out with Dickie, I could just say, well, we already have an agreement. We already made an agreement at pre-course that wasn't going to happen. Would I draw on that?
Yeah. I don't, yes, if it comes up, yes.
Okay.
So if I say respect, and I said, well, I don't want people to laugh at me when I share, is that how you get to, well, can we all agree not to laugh or put people down when they share? Is that how you get to?
Yeah, like I just keep saying, well, how? So no laughter? Are you saying no laughter?
No, because you're dealing with no laughing at people, right?
So if I'm working with Dickie, I would say, so what's the observable? Are you asking?
Because I'm trying to distinguish respect. What I mean by respect, that I have a
right.
And I want to go. What's in my mind is I don't want people to laugh at me when I share, because I might say the wrong thing.
Right.
What is the condition of winning that would work here? what would you offer as a condition of winning to someone after someone speaks? What would be the condition of winning?
One mic.
Yes, go ahead.
It's one mic, only one person speaking at a time.
Yes, we got that.
Yeah, but Dickie just said he didn't want anyone laughing at him. So what's the condition of winning around that?
When I share, that people are quiet.
Yes, that's already clear. We got one mic up on the board. One mic. One person speaking, everyone else is quiet.
Everyone else is quiet. And so now Dickie said, when I share, I don't want people to laugh at me.
Yes. Now, what's the condition? Because you cannot see, you cannot observe not laughing.
Correct.
It didn't occur. What would be the condition to forward the room, to forward the winning in the room? What would be the condition you could offer? What would work on the behalf of the room when after someone shares, what would be useful?
So we acknowledge each other when we share by clapping.
Can you acknowledge? Oh, good. So you added clapping. So now that's observable.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes. So you could say, acknowledge the speaker. Acknowledge speaking. Even as short. Acknowledge speaking. And that looks like clapping. It could look like snapping.
You can even say positively acknowledging speaking.
But that's a judgment.
Yeah, well, I mean, the observable thing is clapping and snapping, and could be people making noise with their feet. You could come up with, they could come up with a bunch of things to say this is acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that handle it?
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
What I'm getting from what you're saying, Ade, is that from the course room, that the conditions are winning, that you want to pull out. Well, let me ask you that in the facilitation. Step one, you just pull out whatever they share.
Okay, so
then you go into observable.
Rather than pull out, you say you want to tease out.
Tease out. Sorry, thank you. Tease out.
Right.
So first, you ask the question: is as a group, how do we get the most out of this? How do we be with each other to get the most out of this weekend?
To get the most benefit out of the weekend.
Weekend, yes. They share, and then when someone's capturing what they shared, and then you bring in the observable piece to say the condition. For it to be a condition, it has to be observable by somebody or by everybody.
Video playback. We need to be able to do video rerun.
Okay. So step one, get everybody when they share. Then two is do the video playback and make that point noted, and then go into the observable pieces for those items.
Yes.
And it's whatever they share.
Yes.
Okay. If there's things that are missing, like confidentiality or this, do you offer to put that in, or not? Or you ask the question to tease it out?
Yeah, it's a question.
Yeah.
It'd be something like, is being safe in this room important to you? Something like, is safety important?
Yes.
You would want to bring it forward.
Okay.
Yeah, like that.
Okay. And
So
yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
So I mean, I got to believe there's probably a handful of like super key things that we would want to generate if they weren't there, right? Like beyond time, one mic, confidentiality, right?
So you keep saying confident. I'm saying safety.
Safety.
Feeling safe in here. Feeling that what you say is okay to say what's on your mind.
So feeling safe is definitely not observable.
Right. So you want to bring something forward so they can have a conversation about it. They can come up with it.
Okay. But and I'm just talking about as a facilitator, what are those things that we want to make absolutely sure that they generate?
What would you say?
The only thing I can really think of is those three. The one mic, the Vegas roll, and being on time.
So you're very good, Patty. I'm glad you're saying it like this. So they normally wouldn't come up with one mic.
No, I know. That's my shorthand.
Yeah. So you would open the conversation with something like, do you want to be heard when you speak? Is it important for you to be heard when you speak? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It just can relate to. Is it important for you to be safe in here? Is it and you can distinguish your whole beginning is to distinguish between rules and conditions. That this is an opportunity to create conditions and not be given rules, because we know what we do with rules.
Right. But are there any other ones besides those three?
Yes, there's participation.
As a value, there's participation.
Here's being on time.
Okay. Yeah, I got on time.
Timeliness.
Okay.
So from participation, from confidentiality, you tease it all out and demonstrate what is observable by asking questions.
Yep.
Okay.
And you could play with it like a sports game. Most young people are familiar with referees. They know referees can only call it if they see it. If it's not on the video playback, it's not going to be, they're not going to take it, not going to accept it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has to be able to see it.
Mm-hmm.
So you go from values to observables. You go from rules to conditions of winning. Winning is getting the most benefit out of being here together. Remember, we'll do something about one team. We're all playing the same game. One team.
Mm-hmm.
How is this playing team going to play together to win? Also remember the conversation that, does it matter to you? Would it make a difference if someone on the team wins to you winning? Is it a competition here? Or can you be the best you that you can be, and they can be the best they can be the best person they can be, and it'll all contribute to everybody being the best that they can be? So you get the sense of team, and at the same time, individuals winning. So the team is actually supporting each person to win in their game of life.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an interesting game because the game is that each person wins their life, and the community is supporting each person to win. And so there could be a community win, but not necessarily looked at. I mean, in the old days, it used to be community projects that we would do together. I don't know that that's happening too much these days. But at any rate, you get the idea that each person, the the community is supporting each person to be successful in their life, to win in their life. Now, this is all important in the same area of the conditions of living together, which they do in the cabins.
Mm-hmm.
In the cabins, it's more focused on, the topics are more focused in terms of your material things and when you coordinate action to take a shower, and when you, like that, and when lights are out, and how do you supporting each other to go to sleep in quiet time, like that. So it has more to do with the way that you're being, in terms of having each person be able to rest and to be dressed and ready on time.
Mm-hmm.
What's that noise?
Just feedback from the computer, because the microphone's far away from a day.
Have any of you participated in the conditions of living together and creating those?
Yeah.
Not in a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while for me too.
Okay.
But if I'm getting from what you're saying, Ade, is that the conditions of winning together is the course room getting it. We're one team moving together for us to be the best that we can be, and everybody's playing. We're all playing the same game, but we're all playing different games. We're playing the game that everybody be the best at. That's the game that we're all playing together. That when they go to the cabin.
So wait, Dickie, I'd say we're playing the game for each person to be the best in their game of life, win in their game of life.
Okay.
So we're playing a game for each person to be a winner in their game of life. Say it like that for right now.
I don't remember. Do we do? Because I know we do it with the mentors. If you're like playing a game, and so it's everybody play your favorite game. Throwing a ball or tennis, whatever. And so obviously, and we do a little exercise of everybody playing different games, saying, so can we win at this game? The answer is no, because everybody's doing their own thing. We don't do that at camp, do we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's usually part of pre-course.
Okay.
So then I had a question. So then when they go to their cabins, their bunk mates or their whoever's in their room have a conversation, which is, let's say, led by the mentors.
It's led by the small group leader.
Small group leader leads the conversation of saying, what are the conditions? In other words, observable things that we'll agree with consensus to do so that we can all live together.
Yeah, living
we're all
together.
not running to the shower at the same time. We're not staying up late talking all night. People can get rest, all that stuff. Yeah.
We can say it like this, so that the conditions of winning that we just came up with in the course room are that moves us forward to keep the conditions of winning in the course room. What are the conditions of living together that will support us to keep the conditions of winning? You say it like that.
And Dickie, those are so critical, because one time it was not done, and that's when there was a result of one youth hitting another youth in the conditions of living together.
Yeah.
So it was a big setback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a breakdown.
Yeah, breakdown.
Yeah.
So people's personal stuff, the schedule for showers, quiet time. These are the things that the small group leader will bring up so that the group in the cabin can speak to it and come up with a schedule.
And that it's also a safe space. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you have kids that may not like each other at school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even in the street.
Yes.
Or steel blankets or whatever. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what the smart group leader is trying to create with them. Okay. To support the conditions of winning. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
The conditions of winning is done on Friday evening, and then you go into the conditions of living together after you excuse them to go back to their room. For the
To go
night.
to the room, yes. Correct.
A day. One of the, I think where some of this questions come up is that Lisette just had this community meeting creating the conditions of winning for bright futures. And so when we're at camp, it's conditions of winning at camp. So there's, I guess where I'm looking from is just making sure that's consistent. Not the conditions are consistent, but the way that's being delivered, because we don't want the kids to come confused.
Yeah, well, the course leader at the residential is focused on observables.
Mm-hmm.
And it's focused on that the room is a benefit to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes what usually occurs is that those conditions of winning that were created in the community or pre-course are brought into the course room and worked with.
Okay.
So in the case of Bright Futures, they will have had some exposure to conditions of winning, but other programs don't. They launch with camp, right? You guys launch with camp?
Or residential intensive.
Your residential intensive, do you launch with that?
Yeah, it's supposed to be done in pre-course. Right now, the work we did with this group, say that we're getting together next week, because we did separate pre-courses with people, we couldn't do conditions of winning. They weren't all in the same room at the same time. So we will do conditions of winning at departure, or the first thing when we get into the court, we'll get it done.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody needs to be in the room at the same time to create the conditions of winning.
Right.
Meaning all the youth need to be in the room at the same time.
Right.
Okay, we're good? Now, take this a step further. We look at these conditions and we ask for any questions about the conditions that were listed. And we're talking about the observable ones. And we move from values to observables. Now we move into consensus. Any question about any of these observables, any of these conditions of winning? If they're questions, then we have to flush them out. If it comes out that somebody just cannot at all agree with it, then it has to come off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But we will take a look and see, first of all, what is the question about the condition? And can the person see that it's necessary for the entire room to move forward? And would they be willing to give up something, whatever they're holding on to, in order for the whole room to move forward? Or is it too critical for them that they cannot do that? If they cannot do that, then we have to take it off. That's the skill of the facilitator. That's you listening for what's really is this person think is going to happen with that condition that's not going to serve them. What is missing? See if you can get it up there. so that person can say, yeah, I can see being on time is important, you know, starting on time. So you'd have to look and see what is the thing that they're concerned about. What's underneath it, okay? And maybe they've experienced, trying to look and see, yeah, I don't have an example, one example. Have to dance with it. Okay? Then we move to get a consensus, and then you ask people, can you then say you can own this, make this your own. Like, you just created this, can you own this? Can you be counted on to keep these conditions? Now we move into the next portion of this, because the next portion takes it deeper in terms of what do these conditions all depend on. And there are various ways to get to this, but one way is to lift up a blank piece of paper and say, what's the difference between this blank piece of paper and what you see here called conditions? What makes the difference? What's on this paper that's not on this paper?
Words. Words.
Well, you can see that, but I mean, people will come up with all kinds of things. You know, letters,
colors, yeah.
Sentences, dots, whatever they come up with.
Yeah.
And it boils down to words. Yes, words. And then the question is, well, how important is word to all of this? How important is word? What do people say about word? So I'm gonna ask you, what is it? What is word? What is it that has word be important? So I'm asking this like an inquiry.
Mm-hmm.
Words let me know that somebody can be, that I can count on someone.
Mm-hmm.
Words give me the power to create.
So I'm asking a different question. What is word?
What is word?
What is word? What makes word important? What is word? What is the importance of word?
Keeping to your commitment.
So word is a symbol for some person, place, or thing, right? Action or
an agreement.
Something in the word is a symbol for something in the manifest world.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like a noun.
And God said, "Let there be light." Light showed up.
Uh-huh.
Word. What is word? Word is my choice and creation and consent, or my will. Those are the thoughts.
Is it word or my word? Are you asking word? What is word, or what is my word?
Word.
What is word?
What is word? Mm-hmm.
We use word all the time. We use word. I'm using word now. I'm using words. I'm using word. What is word?
It's to communicate something.
Mm-hmm.
word is to communicate something. What is word?
Well, it's
When you say, Vicki, in God said, "Let there be light."
Mhm.
What is that?
Word creates action.
it's a declaration. It's
It brings something that is not real into reality.
Word is
It's something that wasn't present before into reality.
So I want to distinguish. I'm not talking about words like any words. I'm talking about word. When people say, "That's my word," you got my word on it. When people say, "Word to the mother," when people say,
Word up.
yeah, like the spirit of word. We're talking about the spirit or essence of.
yeah, that is what I'm pointing to. What is word? So I'm hearing word is a declaration. The word is declaration. What is word? And how are you related to word?
I almost said I'm the source of word, but in a spiritual sense, I am the flow of word. I am word flowing through this.
Yeah, I would. So how I relate to it is, I fluctuate between word is something that I'm giving, and then I am word. That I am the spirit of word. That's really who I am, is the creative force.
So you are the creative force. You are the declarer. You use words to speak word.
Yeah.
So I bring word to life.
You bring word to life. And what happens to have you do that? What way do you do that?
I declare it. I say it.
And then you take actions that are consistent with that. Because you could declare it and then not follow through, and then your word is meaningless.
So, okay, that's a whole nother path, Patty, but every action you would then take would be consistent with your word.
That's integrity, right?
Well, I don't know. Every action that a person takes then would be consistent with their word.
Oh, if their word is their being, then yes.
So there's no action. There's no action. Is there an action that can flow? Is there an action that can occur without there being word to it?
No. Well,
That's in your you know what you know as well.
Say more.
So in order for you to be able to know that something exists, you need word.
Say more.
I guess I'm thinking about water. You know, obviously if you're somewhere, you'd have to be able to define what something is.
So does the tree fall in the forest when nobody's there?
Yes.
That's not what you just said.
No one hears it.
If no one spoke it, did it fall?
Yes.
That's not what you just said, though.
Right.
What you just said was that a word is needed to bring something into existence.
But that you know that a tree falls in the forest. You know that.
I don't know if I know that if no one spoke it from what you just said.
But I know that a tree falls out in the forest. And I know what I know.
But what if there was no word tree?
Then that would be in my don't know.
Yes. So if it's in your don't know, does it exist for you?
No.
But word brings things into the realm of knowledge. Either you don't know and you can ask about it, or you do know and you can live it and act from it. Word, well, I don't know. There's my brain keeps collapsing is like there's the spirit of word, and then there's words, plural, that word, you use words to communicate word.
That's what I said a minute ago.
Yes, and so it's, I'm just looking at those two things of going, words are capturing what the spiritual intent of what's being created.
The spiritual intent of what's being created, how is that relevant to you?
So the words that you speak about yourself in your life, you are. And also the words that you speak, commitments you make with someone else.
Are there any words that you speak that are not part of word?
No.
So everything you speak is
Word.
relevant to you, to who you are.
Right.
Everything, every word, all words. What is the connection of word to you? This spiritual intent, Dickie, that you were just talking about. Say more. What is the word and you? Do they go together?
Yes.
I'm not talking words.
No. Yeah. That. That. They. What comes to mind is that they are the same. That who I am in my essence, my word is that, and I am it. That I am word.
Like the old-fashioned saying, you are what you eat, it's you are what you speak.
Well, are we saying speak? Because speaking is words.
Yeah. Thank you.
Is word speaking only?
No.
No, because it comprises thinking too. But what's coming to me all day is that word is what sort of distinguishes the one reality into sub-realities. So, you know, the whole universe is atoms and molecules and all of that. And that
I don't know if that's true. In a scientific conversation, the universe is atoms and molecules and blah, 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 but to some people, that doesn't exist as the universe doesn't exist as atoms and molecules and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Well, we use so word, to me, word is what distinguishes and gives identity to distinct aspects of reality.
I say that so a teenager would understand that.
Yeah, that's where I'm that's where I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, like I barely get it myself.
I could think of a couple just what. Well, I wanted to share this that in word that it's a possibility. That word is a possibility, and that when I speak, there's other possibilities that can happen through my speaking. But word is the beingness or the spiritual, not the human, but the being, the spiritual intent of something.
So what came first, words or word?
Word.
Word.
Why do you say that? Where are you looking to say that word preceded words?
Internally.
You mean to tell me if I open you up, I'm going to see something internally there?
In my spirit.
It's in thoughts.
So are you telling me that before that, without thoughts, there would be no word?
I don't know that.
I'm saying word can give you your thoughts, or can affect your thoughts.
So what is the ultimate word? What is the first word?
I am.
Are you asking me?
No, well, I relate it to it as two words, I and am, but I am is, let's say am.
Vicky, what was the first word?
Did you say Dickie or Vicky?
Vicky.
He said Vicky.
Victoria.
It's interesting because the first thing I thought of, but this may be correct or not, is really that a baby says mama or dada, or so that's the first word.
But
Are we talking words or word? See, the monumental texts say, in the beginning was the word. They're not talking about mommy and daddy like words to be spoken. They're talking about something else. I'm asking you, what's the something else here? Not like English words or Hispanic words or French words. Right. I'm asking, is there something about you that is word? That we talk about word being connected to you, something essential about you.
Word is existence. Like, Dickie was saying, the I am. It's like the essence. It's the essence of being. It's the
spirit.
I am. Because I'm this entity called Patty is nothing like she was 55 years ago, and yet there's an existence that is on a continuum that has persisted for 55 plus years.
So what you're saying is that Patty is different from the way she was, but she's the same.
The essence of me, yes, is the same. The
essence of you is the same. The expression is changed.
Yes.
So what is this? What is word regarded when it comes to Patty? What is word?
It's just this like I mean, even my identity has changed over the years, right? So it's not my identity. It's, and yet I have, you know, this collection of memories and experiences and lessons learned and all that, right?
Different expressions, different identities
Mm-hmm.
to this essential Patty.
Yes. Even my name's changed a few times.
Different words
Yes.
to identify you.
Yes.
Great. Yes. So you can recognize that people call you different names, use different words to identify you.
Yes.
Or to identify some aspect of you.
Yes.
Attempting to get to word about you. But there are no words that can encapsulate all of who you are at one moment.
Right.
Except maybe what Dickie is saying, which is
spirit. No.
Mm-mm.
No.
I said that earlier.
say, who are you?
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now the I am expresses in a lot of different words, but the word, so you can see that the word came first. Without the word, there wouldn't be any other words,
Mm-hmm.
any other aspects. So all of this is attempting to express this fundamental you, this essential you.
Mm-hmm.
So now, Victoria.
Yes.
What was the first word?
The word was, let there be light.
Yeah. So what was the first word? Before there was light, then it had to be the first word. Because light is the result of it.
Right?
That's the expression of it. So what then would be the first word? You just said it.
Let there be, let there be.
Mm-hmm. Which is also a
Possibility.
yeah, and
It's a declaration.
exactly.
And the declaration came from the word.
Well, you could say the declaration is
The word.
So who are you essentially? Then who are you essentially? Who are you?
I am that I am.
I'm a declaration.
Yep. And that declaration is
Let there be Patty. Let there be this, whatever this is.
yeah, exactly. You have no idea.
Yeah.
And it's happening because I said so.
Mm-hmm.
And who is the I who said that?
Mm-hmm.
I am the I.
Mm-hmm.
I.
Is it the I, is it the Vicky I, or is it the great I am speaking through the entity Vicky?
What would you say, Patty?
I would say the latter.
Which one is that?
I would say it's the universal I am speaking through us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have no existence of my own. I did not do anything. I mean, I can will my hand to do this,
Yeah.
but I had nothing to do with my showing up on this planet that I'm aware of. This.
Yeah.
Had nothing to do with my showing up here.
Yeah, so you could say that Patty, as the expression of the I am, didn't create Patty.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
The I am created Patty.
And how I hold it is that the I am is the force that drives my existence. That
Yeah, we're just saying that the I am is word.
the I am is word. So I am word.
We'll say more.
I am.
So who is Patty related to that?
Well, what comes up for me is, perfect, whole, and complete in the sense of that's as an expression of the I am, then who I am in my essence is the perfect expression of my pattiness.
Okay. So, but that's great. So the attributes of I am, you just spoke the attributes of I am.
Mm-hmm.
The word. Word is I am, and the attributes of word I am is what? Are what? What did you say them again?
Perfect, whole, and complete.
Yeah.
Nothing missing.
Nothing. Nothing missing.
Nothing wrong, nothing broken.
Right. Oh, perfect and complete.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's who I am is. That's what I am is. Who is Patty in relationship to that?
I am an expression of that, or I am in a declaration of that.
And that is, the attributes are what?
Perfect, whole, and complete.
Uh-huh. Now, yes. So Vicky and Dickie, what do you say to that? Who are you?
You can go first.
No, go ahead, Vicky.
I am also perfect, whole, and complete. I am a rockin' Latina woman. I am.
But wait. Now, is that an expression of the I am?
That is the expression of an I am.
Yeah. So you could be a lot of expressions here. You don't have to. You have, because the first word is let there be, and that's what you are expressing in this form or in this suit that you have on.
Mm-hmm.
But you could see that you could choose to express that in many ways.
Mm-hmm. Just as you can pump yourself up, you can say all these negative things about yourself. If
That's
you
right.
chose to.
Life doesn't care, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I fluctuate from I am, and then who Dickie is as an expression of I am, that remembering that I am, possibility of all possibilities or perfect, whole, and complete, that when I'm in the expression of it, I guess that it's the concept between when we talked about when we did our first training of being the sunbeam and being the light, that separate and one at the same time, that I fluctuate between I'm an independent individual and wait, I am word.
Yeah.
That, yeah.
So now which one is there in the work of the conditions for winning? Let's bring it back so we can close it up.
Yeah.
In the work with the conditions of winning, we say to honor yourself by keeping your word. And now we're looking at what is word.
So I honor myself as my word.
Yeah, honor myself by keeping my word. Or honor myself as my word. Either one works for me. So what is the word we're speaking about here?
I am.
I say honor myself as word. Can you see the difference?
Mm-hmm.
Honor myself as word. Honor myself by keeping my word. Can you see the difference?
Yes. Honor myself as word is like I recognize myself as the manifestation of word, the manifestation of the I am. Like that is such a powerful awareness. And that isn't, to be honest, that isn't my lived experience all the time. But to really get that is huge.
Yeah. You're sending chills up my spine right now, Patty.
So it would be like honoring myself equals my word.
Yes. Equals
Word.
Yes.
Capital W-O-R-D.
Yeah. So we're asking people to honor themselves as by keeping their word. So we're a level below what we've gotten to here. Because what is synonymous to I am and to word is what?
G-O-D.
Exactly. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
To say that let there be is what is the essence of I am of word, then says that you have the power of G-O-D.
Mm-hmm.
Which then says you are not wedded to anything. You're not wedded to any way that you see yourself other than whole, perfect, and complete. Anything else is
An illusion.
you could say right.
Is a false, yeah.
More like a delusion.
Yeah.
In the East, they call it Maya. Maya is that it means delusion. It means that's like what. Never mind.
Yeah. I have a question in regards to.
We got to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yep.
I honor myself as word. I honor myself by keeping, or we ask them to honor themselves by keeping their word.
Yeah, because what are we pointing to? The conditions of winning.
Yes.
Or the conditions of living together. But fundamentally, we want to get to word.
Mm-hmm.
And without word, is there any you?
No.
And without words that express word, is there any you?
No.
Without words that express word, is that what you have said?
Words that express words, yeah. That's a play on words, but you know what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
So words are saying, the conditions of winning depend on you keeping your word. Word is bond. Word is bond with essentially who you say you are.
Mm-hmm.
Or who you are. Not you don't even have who you are. And what you're given is the power to say who you are.
I remember when I first started doing this work in 1994, my mentor, Mike Haddam, told me once, Keeping your word does not make you good. Keeping your word gives you power.
There you go.
And this conversation really brings that home, because when I'm in alignment with word that I am, that's all power, right?
Yes. Let there be.
Mm-hmm.
Declaration.
Amen.
You are essentially declaration.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see yourself most of the time as the expression. You don't equate yourself to declaration. And we're saying there is the opportunity here to equate yourself to declaration. The light only showed up because you said, because it was said, let there be. Without let there be, there wouldn't have been any light. Although when you look at it, all there is light. But you had to say let there be in order to recognize light.
Well, and without the word light, there's no distinguishing light from anything else. Because before it was all just one thing.
It still is just one thing.
Still is just one thing.
Yeah. Just one thing.
And yet words give us the ability to see the many inside the one.
To express it, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The expressions of it.
Yeah.
Now, this is anything else you want to say about this? I'm ready to wrap up. You did well. It was great.
This is deep as heck. Yeah.
I was telling Dickie when we hung up the first time that this is definitely one that is definitely worth watching all the way through. Again.
Okay.
So I have a couple facilitation questions.
Okay, before facilitation. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, that in doing conditions of winning,
Yes.
because I guess what I see for me is that practicing that conversation, because that conversation can, because you're drilling down on, or you're teasing out with the audience, with your participants, that conversation can go long. And then to go to word, like that conversation can be really long. So with that, I'm trying to see like what is the kind of time frame as a facilitator should you allow to set parameters to say this conversation shouldn't take any more than 30 minutes and this is conversation shouldn't take any more than 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Because
yes, Dick, a good question, Dick. I'll send you the script that we use.
okay.
You're not going to get into an inquiry about word with teenagers. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that with adults either. That's just for us.
Okay. Well, when we get to, we do point to it, is that these conditions of winning are based on you honoring your word by keeping, or honoring yourself by keeping your word?
Well, remember, I asked the question, what's the difference between this blank piece of paper and the paper here with the conditions on it?
Mm-hmm.
So they could come up with the
That's where you tease it out and point to it. It's word.
words.
Yeah,
Right.
word.
They got words. Right? What's word?
Okay.
Yeah, we need to complete.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll send you a script on this. And what I want you to do with the script, what we want you to do with the script, is to have a conversation for conditions of winning with the people you work with. Hello?
Yeah.
Excuse me? Yeah. And the other one is to have a conversation of living together with the people you live with. I'll send you this. And the other one is that we will be there in December, and that for December the Saturday, the 15th, no, the 16th, the Saturday the 16th, that you enroll 5 people to be present as audience for you from 12 to 4 on that Saturday.
How many people?
5.
5 people to be there from 12 to 4.
Yeah, 5 young people.
5 young people.
Oh, 5 young people. Thank you. And does that look like? Well, would there be 5 young people, and then there's 4 of us, that'd be 20, or with Tavo, that'd be 25 young people being there, or can there be some of the same?
Different.
All different. So I have my 5 individual people that aren't the same as Patty or Vicky's.
Yes.
Okay.
And Bonnie.
Yes.
And Bonnie, yes.
Okay. I'll send you the rest of it. There are 2 other assignments, but I'll send you those. And I'll send you the script.
Okay.
Can we close?
Mm-hmm.
Claudette, would you come back in? Okay. Last words.
This is Dickie. Word.
Okay, word. Thank you.
Deep.
Deep. Okay, thank you.
Life.
Lies.
Life.
Oh, life. Okay, thank you.
The ref.
And mine is let there be. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay. Love you guys.
Love you.
All right. Love you. All right. Good night, guys.
Bye.